Hey, what's up, naughty community? Welcome back to my naughty hobby with Amber for another easy to follow crochet tutorial. Today I'm going to be working on some amigurumi using super bulky fibers. This is my newest daisy, my groovy daisy flower that's super floppity and squishy, and worked using the amigurumi technique, which just means, the creation of like small critters or crochet. And something that I love about amigurumi is that it really only calls for one stitch, which is the single crochet, and all of the pieces are worked into the round. So I wrote up this pattern today. Wanted to share it with you guys. That's part 2. Just to kind of take a look at what we've got here. Materials, we're going to be using white, super bulky white fiber, and also a bulky or super bulky yellow fiber as well. Both of these fibers that I used are considered super bulky, but one of them doesn't feel as bulky as the other, which is why I use 2 different hook sizes in this pattern. If you are more comfortable using the same hook for your piece, by all means do that. I just did this because, like I said, the yellow felt smaller to me than the white did, and you can even see a difference, but it's all about personal preference. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with our yellow. We're going to create the pistil, which I just today found out is what the center of a flower is called. So this yellow portion here, which when I was trying to think about it, I was like, is it called the pollen, or what's going on with that? How do I refer to it in this pattern? It's called the pistil. And I'll be starting with my 5.5 or I hook. Let's go ahead and bring my camera down to make it easier to see what I'm actually doing. We're going to be working in continuous rounds throughout this entire pattern, which means we will not be slip stitching and chaining at the beginning and end of each round. So it's highly suggested that you use stitch markers because it's very difficult to see where your round ends without them. You could use a fancy, super cute stitch marker, or I personally just like to use a bit of contrasting, a little tail that I have lying around, which I was just searching, and of course, conveniently, I can't find one just lying around, so I cut a piece of green. So round 1, we are going to create a magic ring, chain 1, and do 8 single crochets into the center. Magic ring. We're going to chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch. It just helps secure that magic ring in place. I like to kind of untangle my tail there. Now we're going to place 8 single crochets into the center, making sure that we work over both of the loops there. I always like to work very loose tension, especially when working with a chunkier fiber, because at the end we're going to have to pull our tail to close up our circle, and we don't want it so tight that our yarn isn't able to move freely through those stitches. So just be really mindful of the kind of tension you're using there. believe this is 6, 7, and 8. Let's just double check. Always have to double check, especially when I'm chatting. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. Put one too many there. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that guy out. Now we will pull our tail tight to form that ring. Go ahead and grab your stitch marker. I'm just going to lay it right across, right before that very first stitch that we're going to work into here. I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook. Let's take a look at the written pattern. For round 2, we're going to place 2 single crochets into each of our stitches for a total of 16 stitches at the end of this round. So place my stitch marker there. I'm going to work 2 single crochets into each of the stitches. Here's 7 and 8. And 16 for round 2. Now we'll just place our stitch marker back over. Take a look at our pattern. We're on round 3, which is single crochet into the next, 2 single crochets into the next. We will repeat from the asterisk to the next around, giving us a total of 24 stitches at the end of this round. Since we started with 8 stitches, each round will increase by 8 stitches. So we'll work a single crochet into the first, and then work 2 single crochets into the next. You're just going to continue that all the way to our marked space, and I will meet you back at the beginning of the round. All right, we're ready to start round 4, where we are going to single crochet into the next 2 and then do an 2 into the next 2. So a single crochet increase. Let's go ahead and move that stitch marker. As we work these increase rounds, just being mindful of our tension. So work a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And then an increase into the next. And we'll follow that pattern all the way around. I'll meet you back at the end of the round. All right, for round 5, we're just going to continue on with our increases. So we move our stitch marker there, and we're going to work a single crochet into the next 3 stitches. Increase in the next. Single crochet into the next 3. Two into the next. We're going to continue to follow this pattern all the way around. And I will meet you back at the end of this round. For round 6, we will continue to do another increase. Move your stitch marker. Work a single crochet into the next 4 stitches. And then an increase. So work a single crochet into 4, and then put 2 into the next, and you'll continue to follow that pattern all the way around. I'll work one more little section with you. And I'll meet you at the end of the round. All right, we're ready to start round 9, which is going to be our last increase round. So go ahead and move your stitch marker. And just following the pattern like we have the last few, again, round 7, we're going to work a single crochet into the next 5 stitches and then do an increase in the next all the way around. So again, that's 5 that we're starting out with. And then an increase. Continue that pattern all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of the round there for round 8. All right, now that we're finished up with those increases, now we're just simply going to place a single crochet into each of our stitches around for a total of 4 rounds. So rounds 8 through 11 here. As you can see, we'll just single crochet in each stitch around. I'll get you guys started. Just move your stitch marker. Start in that very first stitch. And do 1 single crochet in each of your stitches around for a total of 4 rounds, and I will meet you for the beginning of round 12. All right, we're ready to start round 12. Just got finished up with all of those repeat rounds where we just did a single crochet into each of the stitches around. Let's go ahead and look at the pattern, the written pattern here. We're at round 12 where we're going to single crochet in 5, and then this one here, IDEC, stands for invisible decrease, and we will do that, repeat from the beginning to the end for a total of 48 stitches at the end of that round there. I will work a couple of the decreases to show you how they work, and then you can finish the rest of the round on your own. So move your stitch marker, and we're going to just regularly single crochet into the next 5 stitches. Here's 4 and 5. And now for our invisible decrease, what we're going to do is insert our hook using just the front loop of this stitch. We're going to insert our hook into that loop. Oops. And then we're going to also insert our hook into the next loop. Yarn over, pull through both of those loops, yarn over, and pull through 2. You just created an invisible decrease. So again, work a single crochet into the next 5. There's 3, 4, and 5. Now working just with the front loops here, insert your hook to that first loop. Oops. Insert your hook into that next loop. Yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through 2. Let's work one more repeat. There's 5. Continue that pattern all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of the round. All right, for round 13, what we're going to do is work another round of decreases. So just go ahead, move your stitch marker. We're going to start with 5 single crochets. Excuse me, only 4. We did 5 in our last round. So we will single crochet 4 and then work another one of those invisible decreases. Work a single crochet into the next 4 stitches. And a decrease. Continue this all the way around, and I will meet you back at the end. All right, your piece should be looking like this. For round 14, let's go ahead and move our stitch marker again. And we're going to work a single crochet into the next 3 stitches. Work that invisible decrease over the next 2 stitches. 3, and then a decrease. Continue this all the way around and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, starting on round 15, we're going to work again another decrease round. So we're going to move our stitch marker again. And this time we will single crochet into 2 stitches. And then we will invisible decrease using the front loops only over the next 2. Continue this all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of it. All right, at the end of round 15, your piece should be looking like this. You can go ahead and I would suggest securing that center piece, your center end, in sometimes this fuzzy yarn can be tricky, so I try to only take surface stitches only, since this is on the inside of the work. It doesn't matter if it adds a little bulk, as long as you're keeping it kind of with the surface pieces there. Snip that, but I wanted to get that end weaved in because you can go ahead and start stuffing your pistol with your polyfiber fill. I kind of got a generous amount to start with. Not too much. Just pulled out part of my stitch there. Oh no, I didn't. Kind of shaping it the way that I like. Let's find that little piece so it doesn't become a little bugger. Okay. We're going to continue with another decrease, and we are on round 16. So we will single crochet and then an invisible decrease into the next. Move your stitch marker over, and again we're going to single crochet and then work an invisible decrease. Sometimes, well, all the time, once I get down to a smaller amount or after I've started stuffing, you'll notice here I'm kind of gathering and pinching my work, because it makes these stitches a lot easier to see and also to work into than just leaving them kind of flat. And it also helps to push that polyfiber fill down so you're not catching it throughout your stitches. go. Our last decrease here. Gonna go ahead and do a little bit more stuffing. See if this isn't too much to really irritate myself crocheting around it. We have one more round of decreases. Okay, I didn't pull out that last stitch I thought that I had. So far your piece, maybe that's a green part of the yarn, should be looking like this. Let's work this last decrease round the pistil, which is the center of the flower, the daisy flower we're making. Go ahead and move your stitch marker over, and we are going to decrease over every stitch. So again, we're using our front loops only. It's getting a bit tighter since I've also stuffed it, trying to make it focus on how we're only going to be working through, there it goes, maybe, the front loops of the stitches. It's going to be a little bit hard to see because of the angle I need to hold my hook at, but that's one of the ways that it prevents bigger holes in your work, is by only working through those front loops. So again, we'll work an invisible decrease over every stitch in this round. I skipped over, it felt like this one. I don't know, those stitches were feeling pretty loose there. I guess all of them really are. Got two more, it looks like. Yep. We're good to go ahead and pull out our stitch marker. You could stuff more or take a little bit of your stuffing out if you wanted to from here. I might take out just a little bit because I put so much in there that I feel like it's starting to create a little bit more space than what I want. So I'm just gonna grab a little hunk of it, kind of squash it down just a little bit more. Go ahead and fasten off your yarn. You don't have to cut a huge long tail. Oh, and we are actually going to go ahead and slip stitch into the very first stitch made. I feel like this just makes that closing, you know, our closing hole there a little bit more even. Working continuous rounds, it kind of gives it that weird ledge if we don't work at least a slip stitch. So go ahead and put your yarn through the tail, and I'm going to look to see which direction is going to look most natural for me to pull and weave, and I'm feeling like it's going to be this way. So where we close up our whole end, will be the bottom side of our work. And I'm just going in and out of these stitches here. I've got one more, oops, right here. Try not to grab onto your fiber. Now we're just going to gently pull. Got a little bit of fiber that pulled through. That's okay. Ta-da! Now we're ready to start making petals. So grab your 8mm and your chunkier or bulkier fiber, and we will get started on the petals. We are going to need a total of 8 petals for this pillow. All right, let's go ahead and get started on those petals then, which, just like the beginning of the pattern, that pastel was worked in continuous rounds, these petals will also be worked in continuous rounds. You're going to need a total of 8 of these petals. Didn't write that yet on this pattern, but this is just my copy to follow. So we will start out by, for round 1, making a magic ring, chain 1, and single crocheting 7 into the center. These little petals are super easy, so I don't think we'll need to reference the written portion every single time, you know, every single row of this. It's pretty easy. So we'll create our magic ring, and you'll want to, again, use very loose tension. I feel like the bulkier your fiber is, the looser your tension you want to work, especially in this foundation row. So I'm going to place a a chain, which just secures my magic ring in place. And now we'll go ahead and work those 7 single crochets into the center. Here's 5, 6, and 7. Now, before we pull it tight, it might be easier for you to see if you somehow mark that first stitch, but we are going to find that tail. Jeez, that's one of the things that I don't like about this particular, I'm using Bernat blanket, that it snaps really easily, which is another reason why you need to be careful with those magic rings and how tight you're working that foundation row. Just be mindful of it. I'm going to use the same little super fancy stitch marker for this one. So I just place it right before our first stitch, and we're going to place 2 single crochets into each of our stitches to give us a total of 14 at the end of this round. There's 10, 11, and 12, 13, and 14. Oops. From here, just place your stitch marker over for round 3. Insert your hook. We're going to work, let me get that a little tighter on my hook there. 1 single crochet, and then an increase in the next, and we'll follow that pattern all the way around to give us a total of 21 stitches at the end of this round. Enough slack pulled out, it keeps catching. So yeah, that one. Is that one a single? Yes. One more increase. The yarn is not cooperating. So we should have a total of 21 stitches. From here, we're going to do a total of 6 repeat rounds where we just place a single crochet into each of our stitches around. So let's see here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, rounds 4 through 9, we are just going to place a single crochet into each stitch. So I'll let you work those up, and then I will meet you back for the finishing touches and how to piece this all together once you have all 8 petals done. All right, once you've finished rounds 4 through 9, where we just did a single crochet into each, we are ready to start our decrease, and this is actually going to be our last round for this petal. And how that's going to be worked is move your stitch marker and place a single crochet into the first, and then an invisible decrease into the next. Here's our last decrease. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into that last stitch, And then you want to cut a pretty long tail, I would say between, I don't know, 12 inches, about 12 to 15-ish inches, long enough for you to sew it onto, you know, your flower base, the pistil or, you know, whatever you call it there. But let's go ahead and stuff this petal. I didn't overstuff the ones on the pillow I already made, but I usually use about a fistful. Again, stuff it as whatever your fluff, your squish preference is. That's how you should stuff it. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and close up that hole, but we don't want our stuffing like totally bulging out. Go ahead and push that a little further down and line these stitches up on the side. We're going to go ahead and basically just close this off. And also we're creating like a nice flat ledge that we can sew on later. We'll do one more through here. Then you'll want to create 8 more of these, or excuse me, 7 more. We only need a total of 8, but I'm also going to show you how I attach them. We're going to want to attach between the, let's see here, our repeat rounds, which we're back in, so between like probably 10 and 11-ish, wherever the center is. This is again about personal preference, and the easiest way that I found when I was sewing mine on is I will start with like the outermost loop here. So you don't even have to be holding your piece super close. This is gonna go, I want it to go behind. All right, there we go. That way I can catch this stitch back on the way through. Now let me bring it closer. From here I'm just going to work under this next stitch. And that whole ledged piece, both sides of the petal that we like squish together, you'll want to go through both. And you can just continue to follow the line down here, whatever is going to look best against your piece. This is an odd angle to film at. I believe in the pattern I specified over like 6 to 8-ish stitches you should be connecting this to. here. Bring it back through. You can weave your end in from here. Now that your petal is attached, you can cut that one there. But it's attached on the front. Should be looking like this. You'll just have your your 7 others to go all the way around to look like this. Ta-da! Super squishy. That's my tutorial for today. I appreciate you watching and following along with me. If you make one of these groovy daisy pillows, I'd love to see your finished piece. I hope you all are having an absolutely wonderful day. Thanks again for watching. I'll chat with you guys all real soon. Happy hooking. See you later.